Life is too short for us to let other people define us.
Absolutely.
We are who we are, and we should be proud of who we are. Life is too short for us to let people put us in a box.
Welcome to Psychedelic Source, where wisdom meets practice in the evolving landscape of psychedelic medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Sandra Dreisbach, and I'm here to help you navigate the complex intersection of ethics, business, and personal growth in the psychedelic space. Whether you're a practitioner, therapist, entrepreneur, or simply curious about this transformative field, you've found your source for authentic dialogue, practical resources, and community connection. In each episode, we'll dive deep into the stories, strategies, and ethical considerations that matter most to our growing ecosystem. Let's tap in to our inner source of wisdom and explore what it means to build a sustainable and ethical psychedelic future together.
The information shared on this podcast, our website, and other platforms may be triggering for some viewers and readers and is for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical, legal, or therapeutic advice. While we explore topics related to altered states of consciousness, we do not endorse or encourage illegal activities or substance use. Always research your local laws and consult qualified professionals for guidance. The content provided is, as is, and we are not liable for any actions taken based on the information shared. Stay supported and informed, act responsibly, and enjoy the podcast.
Well, in this episode, I had the real pure pleasure of talking again with my friend, Dr. Lola, who is a clinical pharmacist with over 21 years of clinical experience. And she's also the founder of and CEO, as a matter of fact, of WCI Health, an alternative health and wellness hub, and Psych Entheo Consultancy, a mental health company committed to providing affordable therapy with an emphasis on harm reduction and the total well-being of the human spirit, mind, and body, using their one-of-a-kind innovative platform, Psych Entheo Consult app. But you'll soon not only realize, obviously how delighted we are to kind of chat with one another. I met her originally on Clubhouse. Always a delight, always this combination of passion, knowledge, and real love and joy and community in this space. And she really is a true leader in community for her own people, coming from Nigeria and Africa, of the Yoruba people, and still very much commits part of her practice to the well-being of not just her own community, but also the Bawiti and those who are keepers of the medicine of Iboga, and also just does a lot of work in terms of Africa as a whole, in terms of Entheo representation and advocacy. So while you may hear her talk about cannabis, maybe some of you know her from the cannabis work that she's done. Now she's very much doing work around teaching and education in both cannabis and psychedelics, trying to create this new program, which you'll hear about in this episode. But I hope most of all, you'll take away the real joy and community that she and I have with one another and in our work. Because this work really is a joy when you bring it that heart of commitment, community, and dedication, and you can see how it benefits all of our communities and relationship by being in relationship with one another, by uplifting her work, my work, and learning more from each other, always in community. So I hope you enjoy this first episode. Well, hi, welcome, Dr. Lola, to the Psychedelic Source podcast. I am so happy to have you here with us today and grateful that you took the time out to meet with us. I know you're a very busy woman, and I'm sure we'll be adding a little bit of intro before we begin. But is there anything you would like to personally share about you and your work as we begin?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Sandra, for having me. Hi, blessing, peace, love, and blessing I share from this side of town. Yeah, basically, you know me.
Very good. Yes, everyone else doesn't know. We were trying to introduce you to my audience.
I'm involved in so many projects. It don't even make no sense. But at the end of the day, it's not just getting involved in project for getting involved in project's sake. This space of wellness is essential. I mean, we are losing average of 22 servicemen every day. We have over 330 million people battling depression. So it is the mental health space, the mental health condition that we have here in our country and all over the world is an existential distress, an existential threat even to mankind. So that's why I am involved in entheogenic plants, and I have a platform where we have educational platform. We are actually launching our natural medicine psilocybin facilitator training program. It's kind of fabricated to conform to meet the standard of Colorado and Oregon. And you will be surprised, Dr. Sandra, how many people are reaching out to us.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if I would be. I don't know if I would be, but I do want to hear about this program. But before we go there, I want to make sure at least it's important for me and as we try and build this idea of community and what it means to actually be sourced in relationship and have good resources and community, to know who you are as a person. I mean, you're more than what you do, but you do such amazing things. Could you tell me a little bit about and share with our audience a little bit about your own, what some may say your positionality? You live in Florida, but you're from Nigeria. Am I correct? Can you tell me a little bit more? Like, how did you end up? I mean, and you're famous for working with cannabis and now bridging into psychedelics, but what inspires you as a person? Like, tell us a bit about you and your background.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I was born in West Africa, in Nigeria. I'm a Yoruba tribe. I mean, for those of you that are from Brazil or the islands, you probably know they even speak Yoruba out there. So it's the same ancestor that brought us here to the country. So I'm a clinical pharmacist by trade. I'm a psychedelic assistant therapy and researcher, and I'm also a consultant pharmacist. But I was raised in the indigenous plant medicine space, where plant was the first line of therapy as young as a very early age of maybe even less than 10. I already know how to go in the yard and grab mango leaves and bark of the tree to make concoction for malaria. And it makes sense when I finally came into the pharmacology and became a pharmacist. It makes sense to me that our ancestors have been very smart. They are way smarter than we give them credit, because the same hydroquinone that you find in the bark of that mango leaf and tree is the same hydroquinone that the big pharma extracted. And you would take, if you are traveling to this tropical area for malaria, as a preventative medicine. So that's part of who I am. I'm the founder of WCI Health, PsychMQ consultancy, and also our new app, PsychMQ Consult. So what else? I came into the plant medicine space. People ask me, how did you even find yourself here? I'm like, I did not find myself here. The plant found me, because that is my heritage. That is my root. But I publicly started talking about it because of harm reduction, especially when it comes to the psychedelic entheogenic space. All these are medicine, and we have to treat them with that respect. Part of also why I am very passionate and very vocal about this space is the fact that a lot of our indigenous folks are being left behind. Their intellectual property are being exploited. And we have to have a voice of wisdom, a voice of reasoning that will come out and say, look here, let us just not take from this folks. Even when we modify this agent, it's still their intellectual property, and we need to. And I know, Dr. Sandra, you are ethics guru, so these are very, very part of the topic. We have talked about in the past, but most importantly, harm reduction is very major to me. So I'm bringing my skill in conventional pharmaceutics and my indigenous herbalism to help our folks navigate this space. We do antidepressant tapering. We do harm reduction of different kind, drug harm interaction. And at the end of the day, what matter is helping our people get and stay well using the healing powers of Mother Nature. Gave us this precious gift as a labor of love, as a gift of love for us. And it's high time we go back to our root. And that is part of why I'm here.
I love it. I love your story. I love your own personal journey. And I know, we don't, I absolutely agree with you that we don't hear enough, or at least not uplifted enough, not just indigenous plant medicine relationship, even though sometimes it's glamorized in the psychedelic and plant medicine community, but not often from people who have your story or your relationship or your lineage. What could you say for people who aren't familiar with your lineage that could help them understand what's important from and I know none of us can speak for all of any people, right? Or any lineage or any tradition or for any plant for that matter. But to give and uplift more voice to your community of origin and relationship, what could help people to understand your communities better?
First of all, for like you said, not even within each community, there's so much diversity that that we can't even speak for each other, and it's okay. That is what makes us special. That is the uniqueness of our world. For me, when it comes to them from Yoruba, and Nigeria is in the western part of Africa. And the main agent that we find in that area that is being like the rave right now is the bulgur root. The ibogaine is extracted from. I grew up with the Vocanga africana species of the Tabana montana, which are in the same family of the bulgur. So basically, our culture, our community, they don't just see plant as just plant. It's a way of us fellowshipping. We have rituals with this plant. We believe that this plant have a spirit, and we communicate with that spirit. For me, growing up, because I had polio, that was one of the reasons why I found myself in the health space, because I felt like this is it's a preventative disease or ailment, and I wanted to help people to bring awareness to prevention and in our community. That's part of why I chose that route. But so I spent more time with the Babalaos, because our first line of therapy is always the plants. And it's not contrary to what you hear from folks that, oh, Africa is this, is that. No, they have hospital. They have everything.
Absolutely.
Leadership is the problem all over the world, including here at home. That is the issue they have. So herbs is what we go to. And for me, having that situation, I had to spend more time with the Babalaos. The Babalaos are like the shamans in the Western world.
Thank you for explaining that, because I was about to ask.
Yes, the Babalawo are the shaman. When you get a chance, you want to know more about the Yoruba culture, go to watch this Netflix, Bigger Than Africa.
It's Bigger Than Africa. Okay, we'll definitely make sure we do that.
Bigger Than Africa. You will see the Brazilians, the the Bahamians, you would even they have the Yorubas here in South Carolina, the Babatola, they have the Yoruba culture, and there are people that are African American that have border culture here. So the plant is our source of healing, it's our source of communication. And like I said, all these plants, even the conventional pharmaceutics, many of them were derived from this plant. An agent like the Boga or Ibogaine has so much to offer us.
Yes.
But we cannot just take it and say, oh, we're going to just, it's like two-edged sword. There's the good and the bad that we have to be careful of how we fellowship with this plant. And not just from my lineage, from South America, even here from home in California, everywhere we have the indigenous people. And when we say indigenous, all of us are what I call concussion. We are all mixed together. Because you look like you doesn't mean you don't have heritage of indigenous in you. There's so much of us that is mixed that you cannot even separate any one of us. So that is it. I'm very passionate about preserving the wisdom, because a lot of our ancestors are passing away and they are going to meet their ancestor in the great beyond. How are we going to preserve this heritage for the next generation?
Yes.
And how are we going to also be able to reach out to the less privileged among us that might not have the resources to maybe pay for the whole addiction treatment? What are we doing? Are we leaving any child behind? I am very passionate about President Bush idea of no child left behind. I call it no tribe left behind.
No tribe left behind. I love that. And I love just generally, the marriage and relationship that you have, not just in terms of the plants or even how you came into pharmacology, but also in terms of the relationship to all tribes, that this isn't about, just my tribe. And even the story you're sharing about that's available in this documentary, right? It's even your tribe, is not stuck on one shore per se, right? And our perception of what it means even to be indigenous should be expanded, and that we are all of different tribes of origin.
We are concussion. We are so mixed. I don't know if even centrifuge can separate us. That is why love is the language. Because
love is the
when we don't show love to one another, we are being mean to ourselves.
Yes, indeed.
If we take you, Dr. Sandra, and put you in a centrifuge, they're probably going to have a little bit of Lola in you.
Oh, I know we do. I know we do.
Yes. We are so connected. We are like the fungi itself. If you look at the fungi, they're so connected, so rooted, so deep. You can hardly separate the roots from one another. Yeah.
And even the mycorrhiza build relationship as part of their nature.
Yes.
Yeah. And I love this, and I'm curious to hear a little bit more about your journey, since you did come into relationship, from a young age in relationship with the medicinal qualities of the plants, and you said also mixed with ceremony and in community, and a different mindset than what would be here in sort of like the global north or the Western approach towards plant medicine. And yet you've also built your own personal Western mindset, and because you've trained as a sort of more Western tradition on pharmacology. So how do you personally bridge both worlds in your practice, We don't have to talk about your teaching yet, but just meaning you as a person, again, coming back to you as a person, right? Like having had that journey and marriage of some might say the global South and the global North, and it's very much a strain point for a lot of people in relationship, wanting to come into right relationship with the world, all the tribes, as you say, right? How have you reconciled that for yourself as a pharmacist and also as a traditional indigenous origin and practitioner?
I've been in space where people think it's either or.
Right.
And I tell people, I say, I cannot choose because I'm both.
That's right.
And I think we limit ourselves when we say it has to be either or. Look, take for example, it's not everybody that is going to be a candidate for the plant medicine, because these are average of us is on 5 pharmaceutics. These plants also have chemicals in them. They have structures that will react with some people's medicine. So it's not either or, it's all on the table for me. We can take the benefits of what Mother Nature has kindly given unto us, but at the same time, there are people that needs the conventional pharmaceutics, and we shouldn't make them feel like, oh, it's either or. The other thing is the fact that when we are talking about accessibility, access to these plants, there is no country that is going to be able to cultivate, especially in the age of organically cultivate enough, say, iboga, that is going to take care of all our communities. So how do we go about that? We have to bring Western technology to help us. And it's not everybody that's going to be able to travel to Peru, to Gabon, or to Cameroon to go and have fellowship journey with the Iboga root or with the ayahuasca peyote. So are we going to leave the rest of us behind? No. That is why we have to do whatever it takes, even when we extract and bring it into whatever form we want to present it, so that we can have access, can give it to people, it can be affordable to folks.
Right.
All these are what we need to be conversant of. That's why whenever I talk, I'm always pivoting to education, training, being the real key, the connector bridge that is going to help us go where we need to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do you say to people, and I know there's some people who have the position that they're too sacred, that to bring them into sort of like Western pharmacology or to study them that way is actually a disrespect to the plant medicine, or the idea of access is not the way we should be going. We shouldn't necessarily be increasing access to something that's sacred if it cannot be done in a sacred manner, or that there's a danger of, let's say, extracting these or disrespecting these sacred plant medicines. What are your thoughts on that from your perspective?
First of all, my culture, my background, I was born into indigenous herbalism. Then we also practice Christianity as a religion. My dad, we will go to church in the morning on Sunday, and in the evening, he will take his shawl and go to his ogboni, like their occultic meeting. That's how I grew up. So Jesus himself was sacred, but he made himself accessible to everybody. He made him, Mary Magdalene, all this. He said, if you do not know no sin, be the one to throw the first stone. To the woman they were calling prostitute. I respect where people are coming from. and I'm coming from a place of respect. But at the same time, if it's so sacred that only certain set of people can use it, what are we doing? Where is love? Does that mean the others should just kick the bucket? I am speaking for myself, and I'm coming from it, and I respect everybody's viewpoint. What I don't agree with is when the Western scientists start disrespecting the plant, start disrespecting the culture, start disrespecting the teachings of our forefathers. Start saying that, oh, mysticism is the science we are yet to discover. That is a lie. Your science cannot explain out of body experience. What happens when you take iboga, you die and you will reborn. What happens when you take ayahuasca? Science is never going to be able to explain. These plants are spiritual. And we need to not try to be explaining everything out in science. It's not black and white. There is gray in there. And that is the part I want us to respect, that to humble ourselves to the level that say we only know in part and we prophesy in part. We don't know everything because we don't know. We shouldn't try to explain in a way. These plants are sacred, but I cannot imagine Mother Nature saying, I'm sending this sacred thing over here and it's just for you, Lola. Sandra cannot have part of it. The wellness, the healing is for us all. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't just go and grab and grab and grab. We should have a way to understand that there are people that have been the custodians of this agent and not be so greedy and give back in the same way. Even if it's not in the same quantity, at least intentionally do things and help the community. Don't give them fish. Teach them how to fish.
I love that. Yeah. And with that in mind, I mean, it's interesting to me, like, because a lot of people have different ideas of what it means to treat something with respect or with sacredness, or to acknowledge traditional lineages when there's obviously different perspectives amongst them. I mean, like Iboga, which you mentioned, right? There's also the Bwiti relationship. More people are probably familiar with their relationship and not other tribes, right? Because we have we have a very limited understanding from our outsider perspective. And you mentioned about scientists, having that sort of lack of respect or lack of maybe even hubris towards what would be right relationship. While still it'd be important and valuable to have scientific involvement. Like, where do you think, like, if you were to help scientists be better in how they come into relationship, what advice would you give them?
From my and I don't know everything. I am a non-contrarian. I am non-conformist. I don't
think we have any conformists here.
The way I know, yes. The way when I came out, started talking about this stuff, I don't even think I saw any pharmacists in particular. It's now we are seeing folks are coming out. What I will advise us is that let us try to humble ourselves that we don't know everything. Especially when it comes to entheogenic medicine, entheogenic beings, spiritual beings. We do not know everything. If we start digging deep, we will be scared. And it's okay to not know everything. What I see us trying to do sometimes is good to do research. And when I'm talking about this agent, I was in a meeting yesterday and I was facing these investors trying to talk about iboga. That's my passion. Ibogaine as the addiction disruptor to them. I said it's okay to not know everything. Science is, I get passionate when I'm explaining the science of why this agent is able to do this. When I'm able to explain it in science time, and I'm very passionate about that's unique to science. That's beautiful. Well, at the same time, we can't explain everything out of body experience. How do you explain that in science? You cannot explain you seeing your ancestors that is long dead, that you have never met, in a journey of peyote or ayahuasca or iboga rite of passage ceremony. How do you explain that? And it's okay for us to say, I don't know everything, but science can also help us understand. Because when science helps us to understand the harm that this medicine can cause, we can prevent them. But at the same time, we can treat them with that sacredness.
Yeah. I love that because like that already points out to like there's different mindsets and different ways of looking at the world and different things that we're able to talk about in a way that the framework of the discipline provides, right? That science as it is currently structured, as far as I understand it from my own Western perspective, doesn't leave much space for the mystical, the spiritual, and that actually is, unless we can reduce it to some form of science where we can look at the brain and we can see the brain activity or we see the healing, right? Like, so if you're engaging with your ancestor, we want to look at, well, what's your fMRI brain scan look like, right? But keeping that aside, I want to also uplift the plant medicines you're mentioning, and I hear the love in your voice for iboga. And I know you also have love for cannabis. Could you speak a little bit about your plant relationships?
I tell people, first of all, I want to say something right quick, then I'm going to pivot back a bit. That is that because we don't see it, it doesn't mean it's not there. Take, for example, microdosing. Said, oh, that little teeny tiny thing can do nothing. Sometimes we put a little teeny tiny salt in stuff. Because we are not seeing it doesn't mean it's not doing something, folks. I just want to drop that microdosing there and move on because I know we can stay here forever.
No, absolutely. But I think that's a very important thing to add. I think it's incredibly valuable.
My love for plant medicine, like I said, just that is me. But when it comes to cannabis, I grew up in an environment where they tell you do not touch. It's exactly like the West. Oh, your brain on fried egg, your brain on drug. But I live with a family member that have used cannabis recreationally for years, decades. He happens to be the healthiest among the whole household. Hardly gets sick. Done very stressful work, and always go. From me being in close contact with somebody that does that, and when legalization came out, and I saw everything happening out there, I said, look here, we have to give a face. We have to represent the plant. We have to advocate for the plant. If we stand for the plant will stand for. I trust those plants more than the pharmaceutics that I give folks from the pharmacy. Over 130 people dying of opioid. How many people have died of cannabis? That is why education comes in, because we have different strains, different cultivar, different chemover that is coming out now, becoming harder. And we've seen exactly what happened turning basic codeine to hydromorphone to oxymorphone, fentanyl, that is killing people. They brought that into cannabis, and it's already going into psychedelics. When you start saying, oh, cannabis, why do we need any agent to be stronger than THC? That is how they modify these structures. It's not the plant that is dangerous, it's the modification, because you can't patent plants. So you have to modify it to that. I'm going to leave that alone. So cannabis is a universal medicine. It's like a jack of all trade, master of all. The endocannabinoid system is so special. It's so unique. It's crazy to say it took us forever to discover it. Just in the 60s, that we found the receptor CB1, CB2. I do teach cannabinoid science and to healthcare professionals. So that is like I develop curriculum and I teach.
And I love that you have that. I love that you help to bridge that gap and have that priority on education. And maybe this is a great opportunity to talk a bit more about what kind of, you've had a cannabis training for a long time, and now you have this new psychedelic training program, which does have some cannabis stuff, I believe, in it as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, cannabis is an entheogenic plant. People don't know that. The Jamaican, the Rastafarian use it for religious purposes and for their well-being. But people, when you talk about psychedelic, they just think ayahuasca.
I include cannabis, but I don't get to define it for everyone. So. That's probably part of the reason you're here, right?
This is what they say, iron sharpens iron. We are both bringing so much to the table. And even our folks at home, they are bringing
indeed,
so much to the iron sharpens iron.
Oh, I love that. I may have to remember that. But I've always loved your heart and your spirit and really, how inspiring you are as a person, as a speaker. I mean, we originally met on Clubhouse and connected there. And had conversations there, and you were always really good about having rooms and doing outreach and education, and here you are still doing it. I mean, I know I'm doing education too, but still, here we are together again. Now people can see our faces, but but I would love to hear you share a bit about. There are lots of different psychedelic practitioner trainings. I know Colorado is now new in the sort of psychedelic practitioner training area. Oregon is now been around a little while, but it's still a newer program in the United States. And what can you say that you're bringing to the table that's unique, that brings to the community something that is really should be paid attention to?
Yeah, thank you for pivoting to this after cannabis. First of all, the ship is already sailed when it comes to legalization of entheogenic plants, psychedelics in particular now. Oregon is already have a framework set up. Colorado is opening their program in January for healing center and education and all this other stuff. It's not going to be like cannabis that you can just go into the dispensary and buy cannabis. You're not going to be able to go in the dispensary and just buy ayahuasca or buy psilocybin or buy iboga for that man. And it shouldn't be, because these agents have extra in them. And harm reduction, like I said earlier, average Western communities are on more than 5 prescriptions. Drug interaction is real. There are a lot of programs going on. I am humbly and not humbly say I am unique in this space, in the sense that I have extensive background in pharmacology and lifelong lifelong life, if there's anything like that, in the indigenous of our medicine work, of our plant works. So those are the skills that I'm bringing to the table that you will not see out. And you've been to the class, you've been to the lecture, you've been to the conference. So we've put together for Colorado, our program, Natural Medicine Psilocybin Facilitator Program, is modeled after the Colorado program. You have to go through this training to be able to practice in Colorado. And it's very essential because I know that a lot of physicians, a lot of clinicians, even indigenous, you are like a sponge. You attract everybody. The people listening to us at home, people need to get their training now. I call it making haze when the sun is shining. If you are a cattle rearer, you are a farmer, when the sun is shining, I live in Florida, folks. That's when you get your grass. You dry it, you store it in your barn. Not when it's raining or it's snowing. Because what is your cattle going to eat when it's raining? You're not going to go in the rain, start grabbing stuff or go in the snow. That's why our elders say, make haze when the sun is shining. Now is the time to get that training. If you are underground, you will be able to practice, have your training together, because that's going to be the criteria. The power that be are not going to let us just go and buy this age. And they shouldn't, especially when you talk about Iboga with the cardiotoxic side effect that we have to manage. The other part is that we have tools, platform. We have our app, Psychedelic Consult app, that we are incorporating harm reduction tools, similar to what we use in the pharmacy on this platform to help people. We are also helping corporations to navigate the space. So this program we have it coming up in January starting is a 5-month program, and it's a hybrid. We have info session coming up on the 7th of January, the last info session. Well, if you don't take anything away today, just take it away that this is a multi-million-dollar billion for it's been projected that by the year 2031, the mental health space is going to be over 500 billion. Right now, it's about 300 billion. And I know, especially those of us in the indigenous, in the holistic space, we shy away from talking about the money part. Money part is part of it. If you are being called into this work and you don't have the fund to set shop, especially for women, we have to do everything to be seen in this space. If you don't have the fund to set shop, how are you going to reach those people dying of opioid, those people having addiction that our military folks? This is a generational wealth creation, and you are also doing good work to our community. So let us not shy away from talking about the potential to create wealth, not just for this generation, but we could use that wealth for, and even for generations to come while we are doing
generational
good
wealth.
work.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
it is essential to take these classes. And if you want to learn more, Dr. Sandra is going to leave our links. I'm not going to, she's going to leave the link. But
Yes,
I'm
I'll
telling
leave
you,
the links.
Sandra,
And very much care about giving people resources. And actually, it's going to be my next question for you, because this is Psychedelic Source, and even though we definitely do not source medicine, just to make that clear.
yeah.
But we do source relationship, community, insight for your, inner source, for your inner guidance and connection. So what advice, what do you have to offer, and what do you hope to receive in relationship as a part of what you feel is a valuable source for people in this space?
For me, I just want to receive smile in the face of people. I want to be able to reach out to our community And even for this program that we have different ways that we are trying to make it affordable, and we are reaching out. I'm going to use this opportunity that if you are, if you can donate to our foundation, Texan. We use the Indigenous Society Africa for Alternative Medicine. We use funding to help children in education and to preserve indigenous knowledge as our elders are passing to be with their ancestor, and also to help people like our military folks to be able to enroll in these courses. I had one of them 2 days ago that we had the info session. He came on. He said, retired Navy. I said, you know what? I don't care how I do it. You are going to take this class. If I have to pay for it from my pocket, that is it. So people, you can have like a tax-free, tax-exempt, and donate to those TESAM so that we can get more people trained. We can also reach out to more people in our community. That is what I'm hoping for. What do I want to give people? I want people to reach out to me. If you have questions, I'm a consultant. Yes, I trained as a pharmacist, then I went back, I got more certification, more certificate as a consultant. Then I'm a psychedelic therapist and research. If you confused about you are, I don't want to call it confused, you are at an intersection and you feel like I really need help with this, slide in my DM. For me, this space is not about money. I tell my kids I can live on $5 an hour. I grew up with nothing, where you eat only once a day. We buy these beans, pour a lot of water in it, put this kind of carbs in it. When you eat it, you don't get hungry for the rest of the day. My mom died when we were very little, so I learned how to grow up on my own. So I tell my kids, I can live on $5. The $5 an hour is a luxury I can live on. I've lived on very little. So it's not about money. It's about the joy, the peace that I see in people's face. And I want to encourage our community to reach out. If you need us, if you need help, if you want to be part of what we are doing, no tribe left behind is what we do. And we welcome everybody. We are concussion. We are concussion. It's politicians that tries to separate us. We are one.
I love that. Yeah. And I love that you both uplifted not just, your own communities, right? But also other communities who are seeking that training, education, and support. And thank you for also being so humble and being willing to share some of your own personal story in relationship to money, right? And yet still saying, like, we want to make it affordable. We want to leave no tribe, no person left behind, as it were. But also, it's okay to talk about money, and that it's important to think about the next generation. And it kind of makes me think of a new mindset for what entrepreneurship means in psychedelics and plant medicine, and not avoiding that conversation, but being willing to talk about it, because we need it for our education, for our children, for generations to come, and yet we don't have to take more than what we need.
Absolutely. See, part of why we want to go for it, especially women, I keep going to females. And when we say female, it doesn't mean female. However you address yourself is who you are. Nobody should come and tell Lola, this is who you are. Who you are in you is who you are. Life is too short for us to let other people define us.
Absolutely.
Life is too short for all to let other people, like I started. Even Jesus said, who is going to throw the first stone? Life, we are who we are, and we should be proud of who we are. Life is too short for us to let people put us in a box.
Well, I'm so grateful that you are not in a box, Lola. I certainly would
know
never,
we can
never try to put you in a box, or either of us, or any woman. And I also love that you're uplifting feminine identifying voices in this space, and we can't ignore the fact that we're both women identifying here, and being educators, being advocates. What's some sort of thoughts you might be able to share to help any woman listening now, or any listener, however they identify?
I just want you listening at home to know that you are special. That whatever, especially this time of the year, is a very challenging time. There is something called sudden affective disorder. It's kind of a depressive, as the weather is changing and it's getting dark early, there is that tendency to be down. Whatever you're going through, you are not alone, and you are special. And don't be alone. Reach out to your community. We are here for you. You are special. Whatever dream you're trying to reach, go for your dream. Go for your dream. It's not going to be perfect. We fall and we rise up again. We fall and rise up again. Success is not about perfection. It's that making conscious effort to say, I'm going to keep moving forward. And go for your dream, because at the end of the day, what are you going to do? Gonna just go for it. Live every day as if that is the last day. And for us, however we identify, you are valuable, you are loved, and you are special. And you should see yourself as that. If it's in the business, I want to emphasize, don't shy away from the hustle out there. Let's hunker down. There's always light at the end of a tunnel. And if you're going through a hard time, we are here. Community is here. Don't suffer in silence. Don't be alone. Reach out.
I love that. I love that so very much. It's such a beautiful, loving message to give. At least me, if I'm the only one who hears this, no, I'm kidding. but everyone listening, and you certainly truly do live every day, living the dream and taking action every day to help make this world a better place. And I love you so very much, Lola. I'm so grateful.
And I want to say thank you for what you are, who you are, how the visibility that you bring to our community. You are special. You are a goddess. And folks, this woman, this lady, this amazing goddess is special. Go follow her. Sign up for whatever. Her heart is in a good place. She does ethics, but she's an ethical woman. I can testify to that.
Oh, love
Thank
you
you
so much
for having me today. I appreciate you.
Yeah,
Love
you
you.
humble me. Thank you so
Ashe.
much. Always a blessing and a gift.
Ashe.
Yeah,
Ashe.
Ashe. Thank you very much. And thank you again for listening for this episode. And hopefully we'll catch you again soon. When I think about ethical practice as it relates to this particular conversation I had with Dr. Lola, I really do get inspired with just simply the idea of what one person can do in leadership and in community and showing support for one another. I know she brings me that in our relationship, and we just inspire each other. And that's not something that's really discussed much. A lot of times people focus on a lot of the harms and the risks, and I'm definitely all about talking about the risks and challenges and helping to keep people safer and reducing those harms. But just like positive psychology makes an argument for what are the sort of things we're aspiring to be? What kind of exemplar do we want to be in the community, in the space? And how that in and of itself creates that sort of community resilience that allows us to face any challenge, as well as to be able to talk really openly and honestly about topics that can be challenging at times. And that sense of support you get in relationship, that really is irreplaceable. So I hope that you get the takeaway from this episode. Also, this aspect of how supporting one another, how the positive ethical aspects of being living examples of relationship and connecting and supporting each other not only adds strength to our own work, but to the larger community as a whole. So that's your ethics takeaway. Much love. Thank you for joining me on Psychedelic Source. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe wherever you get your podcast and share with others in our community. And if you're a psychedelic practitioner, therapist, or coach looking to identify blind spots in your practice or determine next steps for moving it forward, take the first step by visiting psychedelicsourcepodcast.com. Until next time, remember, start low, go slow, and stay connected to your source.